This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by super bantamweight prospect Joké Amechi. Not as young as the majority of super bantamweight prospects, or indeed prospects from any weight division that we usually get on the channel. So I guess a good place to start is tell us a bit about your background and why you found boxing so late in life.
Um, yeah, so I grew up playing football. I played football practically all my life. From grassroots Sunday league to boxing. It's weird. It's weird that I was described as a hothead.
Hmm.
But more so like I like to say I was never a troublemaker, but I hated injustices. It was one of those ones where I knew my character, and when I felt um hard done by, I felt like I couldn't let it go, and I would lose my head. I lost my temper like quite a lot of times when I was younger. Nothing I'm proud of, but you're young and you're just a bit reckless. Um, how I found boxing was I was just with a few friends who were into boxing, and they were watching the Mayweather Pacquiao fight,
Hmm.
and I remember saying to myself, I could do this. And they joked about and said to me, "Oh, Jokey, it's not like football, you know." And I was like, I could do this. Um, so literally the day after that fight, I Googled local boxing gyms. And then I found Double Jab ABC, which is in New Cross. So I've grown up in Lewisham all my life. Um, and yeah, so grew up so I found Double Jab ABC, and I went there, just took myself, literally no boxing experience, just took myself there. And yeah, started taking sessions there. And I remember my coach now, we've gone full circle from those days. He said to me, "Have I ever boxed before?" I said no. And he said, like, "You've got a bit of ability about you." And he said, "Would I be interested in competing?" And I thought, yeah, why not? At this time, I had been boxing for about 3 months. So I thought, okay. About 6 months later, well, 6 months into boxing, he then said to me, "Would I like to compete?" And I thought, 6 months? I thought, "Oh, I don't know." I'm fearless in that sense of, like I said, I was a hothead when I was younger. I had silly street fights, fights in school. Um, yeah. And I was fearless. And I thought, you know what? I'll definitely give it a shot, but let me box for 1 year at least training. And the rest was history. I boxed for 1 year and went and had my first amateur contest. It was frustrating at first though, because my opponents, about three of them pulled out. It got to the point where I felt I trained so hard for this. I said to them, I don't mind you if you get me anyone who's had up to 5 fights. I don't mind. And my first opponent had 4 fights, and I lost on a split decision. But it was a learning curve. Admittedly, and I remember this because everyone said, "Wow, you did not look like it was your first fight." I outboxed him the first round, second round, halfway through the second round, I gassed out, and I think that's where his experience took over. I gassed out, shoulders felt like they were falling off. My heart was trying to jump out of my chest. And yeah. And then I think I went on to win about 8 fights on a bounce after that. Um, and because I started later, I think I used that to my advantage because I feel like when you're younger, you feel like you've got all the time in the world. And because I started later, I took it serious. I knew that
Hmm.
um I've always tried to keep myself healthy, fit, active, and because I started late, I felt that I couldn't waste time on what I would say are pointless things. For example, I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, I've never smoked, I don't do drugs. And I feel like those things, along with my background in football, have always kept me going. Um, and so I went on and had 31 amateur fights in the space of 3 years. I know quite a lot of boxers at amateur level that didn't even have that many fights in 3 years. I was always on weight. I made my weight, no problems. I didn't like starve myself. I didn't go and do saunas or sweatsuits. I was just diligent. I was consistent, diligent. And my coaches saw that in me, and I would like to believe that's why I double jab um Pat Harris, Michael Harris, Dick Kwame. That's why they picked me several times to enter me in competitions like the Haringey Box Cup. They took me to Sweden to box. I went to Guernsey to box. I boxed in Ireland because they just saw that I was serious. Um, I remember this comment. I remember this comment like yesterday because one of my old stablemates, Jordan McIntosh. I remember when we were in Ireland, and he said to me, "Joké, I take my hat off to you." You know, I was like, "Why?" He said, "Do you know how many boxers I've seen come and go? They come, they get punched up once in sparring, and they never ever come again." And I was like, "That." I didn't say it to him at the time, but it meant a lot because it made me think, yeah, like I'm serious about this. I've given it, I've given it a good few years, you know. So um yeah. So I think I've gone off on a tangent there, but yeah, that's how I
It's,
got into the sport more or less.
it's one of the longer answers to a first question I've had, but I'm not complaining. It was all very fascinating. How old were you when you first started training then?
I think just before my 25th birthday. Yeah. Wait, 25, 7. Yeah, I think just before my 25th birthday.
And had you never considered it before, like as a kid? Because you said you were a hothead. Did no one around you ever suggest boxing as like an outlet for that aggression?
Frustratingly enough, no. Um, Not at all. I wish it's one of those ones. I wish I found it years before. I really do wish that. But I'm one of those people that I found it when I did find it, and I can't let that stop me. I'm just gonna try the best I can now with where I am at now. So yeah, no one ever mentioned it to me at all.
Well, 31 amateur fights, you said. What was your record and any notable achievements in the amateur side?
My record was about 50-50 with like 17 wins. The frustrating thing about that was and I learned and this is what pursued me to go on as a professional, was my style wasn't really favored in the amateurs. For me boxing was all about chess, and I found that the amateurs was very fast with what I would say a lot of pointless punching, just throwing punches, letting your hands go. That's what a lot of people say. And my style was a lot more composed, relaxed, picking my shots. Um, and that's what kind of led me to have like an almost 50-50 record in the amateurs. Um, in terms of notable achievements, I've got 2 silvers in the Haringey Box Cup. I feel my coaches feel that one of them I was robbed, that I
Hmm.
should have received a gold. But you hear that all the time in the amateurs. It even happens in professional fights now. You're seeing people are getting decisions go the other way, and it's like, but I'd like to say I'm a very fair person, and I know I should have won a gold in one of those contests. But hey, it is what it is, really.
And how long into your amateur career was it before you thought this could be a career? This could be something you could do as a professional?
Do you know what? It was actually after my last contest, which was the Haringey Box Cup, where I was robbed. And I said to myself, oh, F the amateurs, man. So I feel like it was a bit of anger that propelled me and thought, because people have told me in the past that you hardly got hit. Your defense is amazing, your movement's amazing. How did you lose that? And I was told constantly by other boxers, other coaches, your style suits the pros. Your style suits the pros. So I think a bit of anger, and the last contest, I thought, oh, forget the amateurs. Let me just try. And
And
yeah, I never, sorry, I never ever thought that I would ever be a professional. I never envisioned that when I first started.
and you said about your style there, kind of not getting hit and being quite slick and slippery. Where does that come from? Have you got influences, boxers of the past, perhaps, or current fighters?
So the yeah, so the funny thing is because I didn't really know much about boxing. I didn't watch it like that before I had started. I didn't really have influences. I think what kind of caught my attention was before I ever had my first amateur bout, I went with my coach Dick Kwame to a contest because he said it would be good for you to see what it's like. And I remember going watching, and with all due respect, the fight was scrappy. It was messy. They were all over the place. And I did say to him, like, I could do better than that. You know, I can do better than that. I knew from that I did not want to be that type of fighter that just brawls. And so I was very mindful about how my technique was, my movement was. I want to look good. It's boxing, it's not a street fight. So I wanted to look good. I understand there's times when you have to dig deep and it gets scrappy, but you can still do it with composure, if that makes sense. Um, and then um, I then discovered Lomachenko. I loved his style, his movement, but he's southpaw and I'm orthodox. Um, I then discovered a boxer called Zelfa Barrett,
Yeah,
Brown Flash Barrett. He
yeah.
was one of the fighters I followed before I ever had my contest. I thought his style was wicked, and I wanted to emulate that. Give him a shout for me. Hopefully he can he sees this, but honestly, he was an inspiration to me. Um, and then a Filipino boxer, Nonito Donaire.
Mm.
I really liked Nonito's style. And I felt like that's who I really want to emulate. His speed, his IQ, his power. And yeah, that's what for me, I thought, yeah, I want to emulate that type of boxer. And he's the same weight class. So yeah.
You've got some great role models there, I've got to say. Yeah, Zelfa Barra, obviously not quite at the same level as those other two guys just yet, but still young enough to get there, which is good. Um, do you
Mm.
still have to work alongside your boxing career as you're only, what, 2-0 at the moment? I'm presuming you need a job as well.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. I actually work in the secondary school. Um, um, yeah, so that is tough. Working full time. So I had work today. I'll train every evening. On weekends, I train twice a day. During half term, summer holidays, I train twice a day. So I train on average 5, 6 times a week. Yeah.
And what do you do in the secondary school? Are you a teacher? Are you an assistant? What sort of stuff do you do day to day?
Yeah, so at the moment I cover a few subjects. So I'm a cover supervisor and a mentor. So it could range from English to science to maths. And then I also mentor a few students as well.
That must be pretty rewarding, considering the challenges you faced as a kid and being a hothead and having to find ways around that and stuff. And now you get to mentor kids to maybe avoid some of those pitfalls.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I got into it, if I'm honest. I knew what it was like growing up, being misunderstood, the anger challenges and stuff like that. I had friends from all walks of life, white, black, orange, blue. I had all types of friends, and do you know what I mean? So some of these students, I tried to share real life experience with experiences with them because yeah, I wouldn't say I would say I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in the years I've lived. So I try to just let them know, like, just try your best in whatever it is and be respectful. Um, ultimately, you know.
What age are these kids that you mentor, and are they aware that you're a pro boxer?
So the kids, the ages are from 12 to like sixth form, which is like 16, 17 years old. So 12 to 17-year olds. And yeah, a few of most of them now know that I box. They Google me. They Google me. And a few of them have actually bought tickets to my fight, as in obviously their parents are bringing
Sure.
them. And yeah, like it means a lot. So a bit of pressure, So I have to perform, because if not, I'll be back in school and everyone will be talking about me.
So you're 2-0. You're with Goodwin Boxing. You're out again this Saturday. Obviously, the latest step on the journey. What's the ultimate goal? What's your peak that you want to achieve?
So my ultimate goal is my first goal, at minimum, is to become the British super bantamweight title holder, champion. Sorry, that's minimum. A few people have asked me, wouldn't I want to go further, like worlds and stuff like that? But I want to get this first at the minimum, and then consider where I'm going after that. The toughest challenges I'm facing at the moment is working whilst boxing. I have a 2-year-old daughter who is my world. I'm married, my wife's my world, and I just want, like, it wouldn't be possible without my wife's support, you know. And I know boxing, especially as you go higher, 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 it's going to take a lot of time. And ultimately, the money I put into this sport from my own pocket, it takes away from them. So if I can get sponsorships along the way, I want to show the world that me, who came from, literally nothing, can, and who believed in himself, can achieve what a lot of people may write you off for because of your age, or because you didn't get a gold medal in XYZ and stuff like that. So first and foremost, I want to become the British super bantamweight champion, and then I'll have to reassess from there in terms of finances and stuff.
Good stuff. Now, before I let you go, just in aid of maybe getting more sponsors and certainly getting more fans, tell people watching how they can find you on the different social media platforms, get a bit more involved in the journey.
Okay, so at the moment, I only really use my Instagram. I need to make more, to be honest. I need to make Facebook, a Twitter, a TikTok, but Snapchat. I don't know. I need to make more. But how you can find me is mostly just my Instagram at the moment. And all the other social medias I make will have the same name, so it can just be cohesive. But it's Joke underscore E heritage. So JOKE underscore E heritage. And that's Instagram.
Now, I thought it was pronounced Joké because you've got the accent over the E, but you've said it as joke a few times now.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up with that name in London?
So do you know what? It is pronounced Joké.
Oh.
But all my life, everyone's called me Jokey. Yeah. And then some people say, is it joke? I'm like, no, it's not joke. So I just say jokey.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Probably a bit easier then.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, really appreciate your time. Best of luck on Saturday, of course. And let's do this again, maybe in a month or two when you've got the next one lined up.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.